In today's news, the British Virgin Islands cops its first international title, that is Mrs. Curvey Globe, won by our very own Sophia Rubain.
COI criticizes the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force vetting system.
Today we are also live with Ricki Richardson. He is currently on the ground in St. Kitts as they are going through the first day of their 24-hour lockdown. We have all the details in an exclusive interview.
In addition to that, HLSCC signs a 4 grants totaling some $245,000 teacher training institute and professional construction training program. We're happy to report on that and so much more. All this after a word from our sponsors. You're watching 284 News.
The win.
What the hell?
I'm freaking out.
Is about these people.
It's always a pleasure coming to you live and direct from the
What's poppin'? What's really good?
Davis has won it for the Lakers. The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Viewers, welcome. It is Monday, the final Monday in June of 2021, June 28, 2021. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant, coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the beautiful British Virgin Islands. Of course, our home, our paradise. Beginning, before we get into our newscast, the Honorable Marlon A. Penn calls for a law allowing removal of non-performing elected reps. In addition to that, not my role, says Premier Foy on making Skelton Klein's contract public. We see the governor's statement puts assent of the Whistleblower Act in doubt, and Tourist Board to develop a hospitality rating system this year. In addition to that, we have an update on the first cruise ship that is set to land in the territory on July 1st.
That is in just 2 days, viewers. Big news for the Virgin Islands as I think the tourism industry bounces back. Now,
Yes.
as we move on, great news for the territory as well. Mrs. Sophia Rubain was 2 nights ago crowned Mrs. Globe Curvey, in Palm Springs, California. Of course, she is making BVI history by becoming the first ambassador to covet an international crown. I think such a big deal. We also know that the territory was also represented by Mrs. Classique, Deborah Maddox, as you can see in that picture to your far left. In the middle is the director, Alicia Green. That is Mrs. Maddox and Sophia. Again, very great representation. And again, a monumental moment for us here in the Virgin Islands. Because of them, the BVI flag continues to fly high. And of course, with this international title, we're just expecting even more great things. But Ron, I think this is warrants, I think, a hearty congratulations.
Absolutely.
Certainly a big deal. They returned today to the BVI, and we were really looking forward to the whole motorcade processions. But unfortunately, because of COVID,
Yes.
and some persons not being vaccinated, we were not able to do that motorcade. But something is definitely being organized soon, so definitely stay tuned for that.
Jovan, we have often associated the BVI with athletics. We've associated them with entertainment, but we sometimes neglect pageantry. We have a lot of talented, mostly women, young women, who continue to really chart the course, and we are so proud and happy. We congratulate Miss Alicia Green and her team, of course, the Queen, Miss Sophia Rubain, on a well-done job, of course, Mrs. Maddox as well.
Yes, and viewers, before we go, there's actually a really great recital coming up tomorrow being organized by the homegrown family, Brent Hoyt and Jugo. So if you want to hear about the details, listen in.
So this Tuesday, the 29th of June, we'll be having our 4th annual Homegrown Music Academy recital. These kids have been working really hard over the year, putting in a lot of work, time and sacrifice, and just to make sure this event goes off really well. So we just want everybody to come out and support, because this is our future generation of musicians, from beginner to advanced students. You're going to see talent being displayed on the piano, the drums, the bass guitar, the saxophone, and the guitar. So you don't want to miss it. And and even some voices. I'm going to have 1 or 2. I don't want to give too much, but tomorrow, the Tuesday, I want everybody to come on out and be blessed and Just come on and support our future musicians. 7 o'clock we start. We're going to be at the Eileen Passing Auditorium. Be there.
Certainly something to look forward to tomorrow. Of course, always expecting great things from the homegrown family, but definitely come out and support our kids.
Beginning on the local scene, the present vetting system to recruit and hire police officers in the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force has come under heavy fire by newly appointed Commissioner of Police Mark Collins. Now, Commissioner Collins gave those remarks during his recent hearing with the ongoing Commission of Inquiry, where he raised concerns on the existing vetting system within the force. He said he will be pushing to have the force hire a vetting officer who will be tasked with ensuring suitable persons are enrolled within his organization. Take a look.
I don't think we vet and do enough background checks on officers either transferring into the organization or new recruits. So one of the things I've put in my position statement is.
And the commissioner believes the new special position, along with his improved professional standards, will help to fast-track internal investigations to rid the police force of untrustworthy police officers. Take a look.
Focusing on the internal challenges to your organization. Your point is that if you can enhance your professional standards department, they will then better be able to investigate complaints, internal complaints.
Yeah, and deal with things more robustly and in a timely fashion, because depending on the allegation that I get against someone, I would want to do a severity assessment and look at suspending that individual, taking them out of front line.
Now, viewers, Collins said the new measures are needed as some imposed UK Code of Ethics or Code of Conduct is seriously required. Listen in.
I think some get it, some understand it. As I said, I need to be very careful how I phrase this. I've got a lot of very good officers that are out there working, over and above every day, doing some fantastic work. I've also got some other officers that I don't think pay attention to any code of ethics, any code of conduct at all. And those are the people that I need to root out.
Commissioner Collins had previously stated that he has some major concerns about the honesty, business interest, and the affiliation held by some of his police officers. Jovan, this, first of all, does not come as a surprise. I think in every agency, just like we recruit teachers, just like we recruit healthcare professionals, just like we make the necessary requirements to make sure that persons within our financial services industry are trained, we need to do that when it comes to our law enforcement. And I don't think the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, in all honesty, has gotten the attention, the recruiting attention it needs as years has gone by. And this is really the first time I think we're hearing about this from an official perspective, and that happens to be in the person of Mark Collins, the newest police commissioner.
Well, Ron, one of the things we always say here is, as we continue to police ourselves, who's policing us?
Yes.
Who's policing our police officers? And I'm very happy to see that Mr. Collins coming into the territory is not shying away from the problem and necessarily kicking the ball down the road. One of the things we have to do in order to demand transparency is really face the issues that we have. And one of the things we've seen, especially over the last couple of months, is a reveal that there is corruption within the police force. And when we examine the trajectory of what has happened over the years, so I think it's only right. We should have a very thorough vetting process, and that should be measured against good policing. It's essentially like a code of ethics that police officers should be measured against, not only in just getting into the force, but also finding ways to measure their progress throughout, because we cannot accept what's going on.
And like you said, the ways throughout, there's one thing to get into the force, but there's sustainability. There are a lot of issues that we face throughout our community, one being community policing and persons not trusting. But when you look at the last a few months and even years dating back, like the police commissioner mentioned, since 2014, with the number of officers that have been indicted and off leave, some 9 since 2014.
That's a lot.
You have to essentially look at how your body is being governed and what that then reflects upon to the general public. We have an issue in this general public where persons don't trust the police, they don't speak to them. We have a case where situations happen and you literally have to beg residents to come forward. We now need to look at a holistic approach as to perhaps what we should be doing better in really making sure that we're securing the best individuals. And no agency is without blemish, but we should be doing a better job.
Absolutely, and that indeed will build the community trust, at least begin the process that we're speaking to. As we move on, viewers, the HLSCC Community College has signed a total of 4 grants recently, totaling $245,000 from Unite BVI that will benefit a number of initiatives, including the launch of the Virgin Islands Teacher Training Institute and a professional construction training program. Now, the grants were handed over at a grant signing ceremony, which was held at the college on Friday, June 25th. Our Kamal Haynes reports on this story.
The professional construction training program has been allocated $65,000, while the mangrove nursery project has received $70,000 to assist with further expansion and an additional $10,000 to support the hiring of mangrove interns and mangrove nursery staff. President of the college, Dr. Ricki Richardson, said he was initially anticipating only 2 grants, but woke to the good news that a further 2 were approved a day prior to the ceremony.
Yesterday afternoon, I left work and we were preparing for today's ceremony, and I was under the impression that we were getting 2 grants, and I knew that we had some other grants in the pipeline. And dark and early this morning, I got a text message from the director of Unite BVI saying that the other 2 had come through in the wee hours of the morning, and so we are signing 4 grants. So originally we were looking at a total of $165,000 in grants for the Virgin Islands Teacher Training Institute and our construction professional training program, which both are going to be starting in the fall. But now we get to celebrate $245,000 worth of grants. And the additional grants go to the continued work. I'm sure many of you by now should be familiar. If you're not, you need to get familiar with the work of the Mangrove Nursery Project at the Marine Center under the direction of Ms. Susan Zalewski, the head of Marine and Maritime.
He said there was a need to immediately look at professional development opportunities for teachers who are presently within the service, which will address some of the training professional deficiencies within the Ministry of Education. He further revealed that the Institute will help to facilitate the process of licensing teachers in the BVI, which will be a joint partnership between the college and the Ministry of Education.
As such, we have rethought teacher education at the college, and we are now launching the Virgin Islands Teacher Training Institute, which would have a sort of a 2-pronged responsibility, as the college often finds itself in. It can't just stay in the area of raw academia. It has to get in to the needs of the community on the ground. And as such, the Teacher Training Institute will facilitate the ministry and the department's needs for professional development in the service. I know the minister can talk at length about their desire to begin licensing teachers to work in the territory. And the college will then be a natural partner to provide that professional development, that continuing education that all teachers, no matter how long we've been in practice, we require to make sure that we are keeping at the cutting edge, or some would say the bleeding edge, of developments in education.
Dr. Georges also spoke on the professional construction training program, which he said is a necessity in the territory that will provide training and international certification in the popular construction industry. He said the college is presently in the final stages of its accreditation process with the National Council of Construction Education and Research, and revealed that a number of the faculty staff have already been certified as master trainers, which presents the perfect time to get the program up and running.
For those of you who are familiar with the Marine Professional Training Program, it will be a similar model of theory, hands-on experience, and then apprenticeship. We already have a number of contractors and construction companies who have agreed to be our apprentice partners. And at a later date, we'll have a time to celebrate them and their commitment to that program. But we are celebrating today $65,000 worth of grant funding for the construction professional training program to get started.
Executive Director of Unite BVI, Dr. Stardust Smith, spoke highly of the college, stating that monies usually gifted to the college from her organization is oftentimes put to good use, and in many cases recognized at the international level.
The college has proven to be one of our most successful implementation partners. That means that when we give the college money, we understand that we get value. We understand that those funds are stewarded in a manner in which makes all of our donors very happy and satisfied because the impact is real. Another of Unite BVI's core principles is to unite people and resources and place them where they're supposed to be. This afternoon's grant of $70,000 for the Mangrove Expansion Program comes from one of our partners, the Wellbeings Foundation. And the Wellbeings Foundation was so impressed with the work of the team over at the Center for Applied Marine Studies that they said, we want to augment what is being done here. So Ms. Zaluski and your team, I'd like to say to you, your work is being recognized internationally.
Sharing similar sentiments was Education Minister Dr. Natalia Wheatley, who commended the college for its success achieved so far, labeling it one of his most gratifying feelings experienced during his ministerial tenure to date. Kamal Haynes, 284 News.
That was our Kamal Haynes. Now, this is such a remarkable achievement for and milestone for between the collaboration. Of course, the collaboration between the college and the ministry, we do see $100,000 being secured by Unite BVI that is going to go towards the teachers, first ever Virgin Islands Teachers Training Institute, which is incredibly important as we continue to develop the teaching industry. There are so many deficiencies in the education system, and I think this will begin to heal that. But also, when you think about the mangroves and construction, which has also presented itself as a viable industry for quite a number of years, and I think post-Irma, Ron, this is an industry where we see generally mass immigration, persons having to be imported into the territory to do the work. So why not train our human resources? And so we have to continue to give Unite BVI huge kudos as they continue to invest in our human resources.
I absolutely agree.
RVIPF is still ahead of the break. First cruise ship to set sail into the BVI on July 1st. And as promised, we are live with Ricki Richardson, who is on the ground in St. Kitts, to speak about these really harsh lockdown measures. So that and so much more when 284 News returns.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, we are continuing to follow what's happening on the regional scene. And of course, our very own Ricki Richardson is on the ground in St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, 385 confirmed cases in just 5 weeks, 3 deaths, and now a very concrete lockdown. Ricki, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, blessed afternoon, Joe. Blessed afternoon. How are you doing?
I am good. Well, we are missing you, but we do know that you are up to good in St. Kitts and Nevis. But Ricki, a very different reality for persons there in St. Kitts and Nevis. You guys went from having a curfew due to these high surges in cases. We are now seeing a concrete lockdown. How did you guys transition or even go from having a curfew to now this lockdown beginning today?
Okay, well, based on my understanding, the lockdown came about because of the constant increase in cases. It was a situation where we were just getting double-digit increases all the time, and the government made a decision that in order to curtail the spread and contain everything, and as they say, level off the curve, they had to do a lockdown where they restricted movement for 24 hours. Now that lockdown started today. Today is the first day of the lockdown, and it continues for 24 hours up until Thursday. On Thursday, we have limited movement where we can go out on Thursday and Friday. I think it's between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. So it's like a curfew again, where people can more or less stock up and get their groceries and stuff if they need to, and if they can afford to. And then we're back on lockdown again from the Saturday
Oh, wow.
until July 9th. I
Okay.
hope those dates are correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So persons will essentially have some flexibility from Thursday to Saturday just to re-up on their essentials. And then you guys are actually heading back into a concrete lockdown on the weekend.
Right back into the 24-hour lockdown. I mean, I really taken it a bit light because I've already been through it in the Virgin Islands. So I'm just grateful that they're letting us out on July 1st so I could get to enjoy my birthday somehow.
Yay,
The plan
because
is to
your
get
birthday is on July 1st.
yeah, the plan for me is just to see if I can get some galgos off of some trees and stuff like that. But
Oh,
I just
goodness.
more or
And
less praying for
viewers, for those of you who don't
the
know,
recovery. Yeah.
for those of you who don't know, when he said galgos, he means mangoes. He just refused to say man in front of anything. But Ricki, what about the persons who may be in lockdown and do not have access to their essentials, as in right now? Is government on the ground able to get to those people, or what does the situation look like?
Well, from what I recall, what the government did, they set up a number that people can call, which is 311, if they're on the ground and they need anything. So people can just reach out to that number and let them know what the situation is, and the government will see what they're able to do.
Okay, let's get into vaccination. I know there's hesitation across the globe, even here in the BVI as it relates to getting your vaccines. But persons in St. Kitt's, do you sense that same level of hesitation, or is there a willingness to take the vaccine? And does the government even have the vaccines available for citizens?
Yes, the government has the vaccines available, but to me, it's the same situation all over, where you have some people who are for taking it, some people who are against taking it for whatever reasons that they have. But in the end, it's still a choice. So,
Yes. Okay, so it does remain mandatory. Are you worried? Is there a tense feeling on the ground as persons continue to see the numbers rise? And what about recovery rates? What are those looking like?
well, when I was looking at the recovery rates, I kind of found it strange that while there were a lot of cases being reported, the recovery rate was not as fast as I was expecting, because I was more looking at it, okay, if it takes 14 days to recover, this started on a certain day, then why aren't we having more recoveries? With the last update, what I realized was that it had, if memory serves me right, I think the last update we had one confirmation, but 15 recoveries. So I think once we stay on that path, where we have low confirmations and increased recoveries, then we definitely will be on the right path to getting everything back down to something that's a bit more manageable, and then we can more or less look at opening up again.
Okay, I realize that officials on the ground have actually decided to leave the airport open, so it's not completely shut off to the world. What do you think influenced that decision, considering the high spread that we've been seeing there?
I really would not be able to say. I can only assume, but for people like myself, when we want to leave, we need to be able to leave.
I got it, Ricki. I got it. And I'm sure there are lots of nationals who are trying to get back into St. Kitt's as well. Does this apply to Nevis, or is it just St. Kitt's, the measures?
It's not,
Not sure.
I don't think it's a full lockdown in Nevis, because what happened is that the situation in Nevis is not as bad as in St. Kitts, where Nevis had one case reported, I think it was last week, if I'm certain, right? But outside of that, they really never had a case reported in quite a bit of months.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I don't think it's the same situation.
For Nevis. I think it's always important, Ricki, that we continue to cover not just what's going on here in the BVI, but also across the region and across the world as it relates to COVID-19 for various reasons. But I think one of the reasons we need to acknowledge is the fact that the BVI is in a good place. And it's really because of the strict measures we've been able to implement in the beginning, which has essentially been able to serve us slowing down that curve and, putting us in a position where we are considered to be safe and a safe destination to travel to. What do you want to say to other Virgin Islanders and residents of the BVI as it pertains to that particularly? A lot of us may take it for advantage, What do you want to say to wider BVI, especially since you are now in the midst of a very different situation in St. Kitts and Nevis?
Yeah, what I would like to say to the BVI, because I realized that the government put out a bulletin asking for people who were at some specific locations between June 18th and June 20th to more or less come forward and do some testing. And then I saw something there with Walmart saying that they had some people who reported COVID-like symptoms and they've been tested and they're waiting for their results. What I would say to the BVI is please continue to follow our protocols as much as you can, because for me, leaving the BVI to come to St. Kitts to now be in lockdown, it's not fun. It's not fun at all.
Certainly.
Really kind of makes me wish I was home, but given the circumstances that brought me here, I am 100% glad that I am here. But I really can't wait to come back. But I would just encourage everybody in the BVI, if you are for the vaccination, please get vaccinated. If you are not really for the vaccination, then it's still your choice. And follow our protocols as much as possible. Wear your mask, sanitize, wash your hand for 20 seconds, do your social distancing. Just follow the protocols as much as possible, because you really don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're more or less going back under curfew, you're more or less going back into lockdown because of a community spread. So please just be careful out there.
All right, Ricki, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we'll continue to check in with you to see what's happening on the ground and stay safe.
Yes, no problem. Thanks.
All right, viewers, and Ron, that was, of course, our team, 284 Media on the ground in St. Kitts. But a very dire situation. We continue to send our prayers out. Ricki just mentioned the fact that Walmart and the government has sent out advisories for contact tracing. And of course, we'll continue to bring you the updates on that. But Ron, like Ricki said, in the blink of an eye, everything could change if we are not following the protocols here in the BVI.
Well, Jovan, one of the things we've been watching, like in St. Kitts, we did an interview earlier today with one of the senators over in St. Lucia, and it's very important that we continue to be cognizant, like our brothers and sisters over in St. Kitts. Situations change very often, and we too here in the BVI know what it's like to have been in a very comfortable situation, and then at one point it spirals out of control, and then we're back to the same place. I think, as we've often heard, it's a fluid situation, and I think it's important for us to be mindful of that.
All right, and viewers, again, we promise you that information is going to come out soon enough. We have heard the reports of possible spread on the ground, and of course, the task force is doing their relative contact tracing. We'll have the full details by the end of today.
Yes, ma'am. Viewers, in addition to that, we want to make sure that persons know the COI is continuing. Of course, today, Ms. Sonia Webster, the former Auditor General of the British Virgin Islands, was essentially grilled for an entire day on the processes and what took place under her leadership as Auditor General. I think, Jovan, we are coming to, persons might have thought that we have completed, but we're just getting started as it pertains to the COI and the investigations. I suspect that we will be going just about up until October, because they have the possibility of asking for extension. So if you have not been up to date, of course, today, again, Ms. Sonia Webster, the former Auditor General, she was before the COI today, and we're going to have all of those happenings published on our website.
Absolutely, viewers, but for now, that's all the time we have. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant. Do have a beautiful Monday, a good rest of the day, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.